What's going on YouTube? So when Hyundai jumped into the three-row segment with the Palisade, it made waves to say the least. Which is why I'm excited to show you guys today Hyundai's new flagship three-row SUV, the IONIQ 9. This large SUV is poised to set a new standard in the lineup for design, luxury, and technology. So let's dive right in and take a detailed first look. All right, so the first place we need to start is with the exterior design. Now, as you can tell, just as soon as you walk up to this vehicle, it has a very bold exterior look. It has a lot of presence, and it is really distinct from the other models in the Hyundai lineup, as well as the IONIQ sub-brand. Now, up here in the front, you'll notice, of course, it is quite large as a three-row SUV, but we do still have the signature elements such as the pixel LED light. So you'll see that actually travel all the way across the front here with that signature design. And speaking of the lights, let's kind of get into that because obviously you do have, again, those pixel LED lights. They've got a lot of elements going on here, including our projector LED headlights standard on all models. You also have the ability to download an over-the-air update, which you can customize this lighting in different types of designs, which is certainly a cool thing, and it does also have animations when you approach the vehicle. Now moving into our wheels, Hyundai says they will be offering a variety of different choices between 19 and 21-inch alloys. These are the 21s you're seeing today on this top spec calligraphy trim level. We don't have full information, of course, on all the trim levels at this time. This is a very early first look at the international launch of this vehicle. But as you can see, on the calligraphy, you do get that multi-spoke, which kind of harkens back, I think, to the Palisade, which has a similar looking wheel inspired by a turbine. Now, as we kind of rise above here and come up to our mirrors, you may see pictures of other models with the camera mirror. That's going to be offered in international markets. The US one will come with the conventional mirror due to regulations. And of course, you do have all the elements you would expect to see on board.
Now at the side of the IONIQ 9, that's where you're really going to notice that this is a big three-row SUV. Overall vehicle length comes in at 199 inches, which is a couple inches larger than a Palisade for reference. And as far as the overall design, it is going to have a very SUV presence to it. However, it's going to be a little bit more sloped off, especially here in the rear area. Now, you're also going to have these nice pop-out door handles in typical IONIQ fashion, and we have some very streamlined roof rails up top. Now, as we head around to the rear, this is where it's going to get very bold in its design. Now, of course, you're probably used to that out of pretty much every Hyundai product, but it looks very distinctly different than any other SUV that they have in their lineup right now. So as you can see, it does have a sleek look, but it's also very squared off. The rear glass is basically vertical, and I'm noticing that the Hyundai logo is actually just like a piece in the glass. It's not a physical emblem. You also have IONIQ 9 branding prominent through the middle section, and then you're really noticing these taillights. These taillights are the signature for the rear, and actually every piece of this is going to be a nice pixel design, and it will light up at nighttime. So as you can see, it's going to be a very bold look. You won't mistake it for anything else out on the road. Now, as we drop down to the lower area, of course, this is an electric vehicle, so this does not have exhaust outlets. I'm noticing this right here, which will probably be your LED reverse lighting. Tow rating ranges from 3,500 to 5,000 pounds. As expected out of Hyundai's flagship SUV, you're also going to have every single safety system as standard equipment, and that's even going to include things like Highway Drive Assist 2.0, which is a very advanced highway assist function. But guys, I think you're going to be even more surprised at what Hyundai is including on their flagship on the inside. So let's dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, now let's climb inside. Take a quick look at the key fob. As you can see, this is Hyundai's latest key fob design on board. You do have buttons for things such as your smart park system over there on the side. And then of course the door handles, as Mason was pointing out earlier, do pop out of the body, so you can just grab those and pull them out. Now, taking a look inside the interior, Hyundai says that the design inspiration of this was basically high-end furniture. And you can kind of tell that as soon as you look inside. Now, let's get into some specific details, especially regarding the seats. So this is going to be a leather-free interior, of course, kind of keeping with that environmentally friendly image of the IONIQ sub-brand. But you wouldn't really know that from the feel of it. It really feels nice and soft and supple. We've got a lot of stitching details running through the center. There's going to be several different color choices you can pick from. We don't have final details on this, but obviously this is going to be the darker color for the interior. The thing I do want to highlight, though, is how functional these seats are. So, first of all, we have Hyundai's relaxation seat on board, so you can press that button, have the full recliner pop out. That way you can take a killer naps while you're charging, or just resting in general. It does also have ergo motion available here on the calligraphy trim level, so you'll be able to get a little bit of a massage as well. But let's go ahead and get inside so we can get into some specific details. So as far as other cabin materials, let's kind of feel around the cabin so we can get a good sense of what's going on in here. First of all, over here on our door trim, you've got the leatherette that covers the whole entire thing. It's got that cool rounded and kind of floating design with some ambient lighting behind there, and a perforated leatherette through the center section. You do have a soft touch plastic along the top there, and as we move over here, we've got some more soft touch plastic. We have a wood trim. I don't know if this is real or if it's faux, but it is beautiful. You have ambient lights above that, a silver trim that goes across kind of as a shelf through there, and then you have more of that silver finish on this floating console as well. Now, as far as starting up the vehicle, we actually have a new thing I haven't seen on any, at least American Hyundai, and that's the fact that your push button start is inside of the column shifter. So you kind of just press that and that will start up your vehicle. Now, it is mostly fired up here. Not everything is going to be working perfectly. Obviously, this is a prototype vehicle. Again, a very early first look that we're having the privilege to give you today. But taking a look at the gauge cluster, this is a 12.3-inch digital cluster. You have all types of different designs that you can choose from, just like the other Hyundai products. Also, here on the calligraphy trim, we have a head-up display. Hyundai does one of the best head-up displays. It's got a lot of different information, very crisp and very large as well. As we pull back to the steering wheel, we have a very Santa Fe-like steering wheel. So it kind of has that same chunky design that shows you this is an SUV. Up in the middle there, you've got those light-up pixel designs in place of the traditional logo. And the wheel itself is power tilt and telescoping, as well as heated. We also have rain-sensing wipers on board. Let's get into interior storage, though, because you don't buy a three-row SUV without wanting a lot of storage. And this is a really standout place for this vehicle. So what we have on here is this cool island console. So this can actually slide back and forth to kind of emphasize front storage or functionality in the rear. It's also accessible from both the front and rear. So you can open up like so, or we can also pop it in that direction. I didn't break it. Don't worry, I fixed it. Anyways, as I was saying, inside of here you have a tremendous amount of space. Once I actually pull this shelf out, guys, look how deep this is. I can basically stick my entire arm all the way down in there. That's going to be more than a donut dominator. If we had our donuts with us, we would be able to fit dozens and dozens of donuts. I don't even know how many dozen. Now, up in front of that, we also have your traditional cup holders built in. You have your wireless phone charging pad. And because this is electric, you have the flexibility of having this huge area right here where you can stick just about any type of loose object. You also additionally have some more storage shelves right here and right here. Now again, we already kind of looked at the shifter, but it is a column-mounted electronic one where you just twist it to go into drive and reverse. Obviously, this will have a 360 camera available. I'll see if I can trigger it right now. Yep, I can. So when you do trigger that, you have the ability to see this full 360 view. It is very detailed, just like it is on many of the luxury products like the Genesis lineup. Also, on the center console, we have a fingerprint reader so you can sync profiles. This does also work with Digital Key 2.0, which this vehicle has on board, and you can use things like sharing keys inside of that application. As far as our climate controls, I do want to emphasize this area because Hyundai was talking about, really having physical controls in here for the things that you use the most frequently. So I'm very appreciative to see that we have a physical knob here to adjust the temperature, which is very, very important to a lot of people. This part here with these other buttons is going to be touch capacitive, but you do have heated and ventilated seats, of course, the heated steering wheel I was mentioning earlier. And then we have a nice row of physical controls again for the audio system. On the highest end models, we have 14 speaker Bose sound system. We're not going to be sampling this out quite yet, but we do look forward to giving you a demonstration once this vehicle is closer to being on sale. Now, just like with some of the other products, such as the Santa Fe, we've got a dual screen arrangement going on here. 12.3 inches on this side, and again, the 12.3 inches on your gauge cluster. This is the newest CCNC system, so it is very nice and responsive. You can do things such as use wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You have built-in navigation. We can also see some functionalities with our seats, such as turning on controls even for the back. And you have a lot of different widgets and things. Hyundai also emphasized, of course, you do have over-the-air updates, so they can add functions to your vehicle as time goes on. Up top, we've got an auto-dimming mirror with our HomeLink universal remotes. The headliner on the calligraphy does have this really nice suede covering, just like you get on the Palisade calligraphy. And we've got a beautiful panoramic sunroof. This is a really large piece of glass. It kind of has this nice curve to it to match the body, of course. And I am happy to say that it has a power sunshade, and it looks like the front portion does open up.
But I am sure you guys are very curious as to the rear areas of this new IONIQ 9 because this is a 3-row SUV. It needs to have a really nice second and third row. So let's dive in. Now, first of all, I want to mention our legroom specs. This is a very big vehicle, as I said, on the outside, and indeed we are going to have a very big second row. About 43 inches of legroom and about 41 inches of headroom, guys. There is just so much space back here. It feels open and airy, and that was something that Hyundai definitely emphasized when they made this vehicle to make it feel spacious. Now, I did bring my ruler with me. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and we are looking at 12 inches of knee room. Really, that's about the maximum that we get in any vehicle, which is really quite impressive, and my feet can slide up underneath of the seats. Now, speaking of the seats, there's a couple things I need to point out. If you look over there on the side, you'll notice that they are going to be power adjusting seats, and they're not just power adjusting here in the second row. They also do have the relaxation seat for both the front rows and the second row as well. So you'll have this pop-out recliner. Now, of course, keep in mind this is a prototype vehicle. Not all the functions are fully functional right now, but we will be able to fully recline out and have that like executive level experience here in the second row. And when we talk about the seats themselves, I want to point out that we have captain's chairs. That's going to be standard here on the calligraphy, and actually in the U.S., that's going to be the only way that you can get the calligraphy model is the captain's chair setup here in the second row. I do want to point out, you may have also seen that there are swivel seats available. Those are not offered here in the U.S., unfortunately. I wish that maybe Hyundai would have offered that, but I do believe it's a regulatory issue why they're not offering that feature here in the U.S. Now, as far as features in the rear, we're not done yet because, of course, we have this whole climate panel that will allow us to adjust our own temperature. We have heated and ventilated seats here in the second row. Quite nice. Dropping down below that, we have this little storage tray. So similar to the Santa Fe, you can access this main storage area from the rear as well. And then if we look over at the door trim, it's going to be nicely done. We have rear window sunshades, which is quite nice. Also, nice floating concept, just like the front. We have bottle storage up in the very front. We also have ambient lighting, as well as this really cool speaker grille. But let's check out the third row. And now I've gotten into the third row. Now, there's a button to do this power. However, it's not fully functional right now. And When I dive back here into the third row, I think you're going to be pretty impressed. It's about 32 inches of legroom according to Hyundai, and they also claim it has about 39 inches of headroom. I think that's a little bit generous on the headroom. However, for someone who is 5'9" like myself, as you can see, I'm quite comfortable here in the third row of this vehicle. I think it feels roughly equivalent to the Palisade, maybe a little bit bigger in terms of space. As far as the seating capacity, there's only 2 seats back here, so that does mean that we have a 6-passenger setup on this model. You can also get a bench seat, so that would mean a maximum of 7-passenger seating. As far as features, we do have 2 cup holders on each side, a USB port on each side as well, and we have these buttons that will allow me to recline my seats even more, which is quite nice. I am noticing no heated third row, unlike the Palisade, so do be aware of that, but we have vents out of the ceiling, and overall it is quite comfortable, so I'm going to say this is fit for adults. Now, walking up to the tailgate, in order to open it, you just press this button right here. That's going to go ahead and open it up. And as far as the space is concerned, I think you're going to also be pretty pleasantly surprised with this as well. So we don't have all of these specs just yet, but we're sitting about 22 cubic feet behind the third row and 47 cubic feet with the third row folded and behind the second row. Now, we don't have the official maximum figure. If I can get that number to you, I'll insert it in a box down below. However, I'd expect it to be roughly equivalent to something like a Palisade, which is in the mid to upper 80 cubic feet range. Now, as far as features are concerned, I am noticing that we have buttons here to easily just fold the third row of seats with the press of a button. They don't appear to be working right now, but you do have that functionality, and you also have buttons for the second row as well. Additionally, we have a household outlet as well as a 12-volt outlet on this side, and there's even a little bit of underfloor storage. Additionally, there is also a front, so we'll take a quick look at that. And now that we're up in the front, don't expect to find a ton of space. It ranges from about 3 cubic feet to a little under 2 cubic feet of space. It's pretty much just enough that you'd be able to put maybe like some fast food or whatever that you don't want stinking up the vehicle. But overall, it's a pretty practical choice, that's for sure, for this electric 3-row.
Now it's time to discuss the powertrain. So Mason already talked a little bit about this being a full electric product. And I'm going to give you a lot of numbers, so please forgive me for taking out my phone. I want to make sure I hit you with all the correct specifications because there's a lot to digest here with what is powering this machine. So first of all, we're looking at 110.3 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack as the foundation of this. This is part of that eGMP platform, and it does share some things with models such as the Kia EV9. That is a little bit bigger of a battery pack though. Now, as far as performance and range, those are the important numbers. Hyundai is saying that you should have range of over 300 miles for all 3 versions of this model. It's going to be offered in a long-range rear-wheel drive, a long-range all-wheel drive, and then a performance all-wheel drive variant. As far as the long-range rear drive, that's going to be setting at 215 horsepower, but it will give you the greatest range of 335 miles. Now, in terms of the long-range all-wheel drive, that one's going to have 303 horsepower, and we don't have any official range estimate for that model yet. However, the performance of it increases substantially, so it goes from an 8.40 to 60 with the rear drive model to only a 6.2 second 0 to 60 with the all-wheel drive model. And then finally, we have the performance all-wheel drive version, and that one, of course, is going to give you the most power. 422 horsepower and a 4.9 second 0 to 60 with the 21-inch wheel option. Let's also talk about the charging. So first and foremost, I do want to point out that this is going to come standard with the NACS charger. So that's not actually what this is right now. Again, this is a prototype model. It will come standard with NACS as soon as you buy this product. Now, as far as the capability, it does have the 800-volt architecture like other Hyundai IONIQ products, giving you the ability to charge from 10 to 80% in 24 minutes. So it's extremely fast for a very large battery pack. It also does have vehicle-to-load capability, so you'll be able to do that reverse charge and actually power different things off of your vehicle. And then lastly here, in terms of driving, Hyundai does say this has active noise cancellation. This calligraphy does have the acoustic laminated glass as well. These are things we look forward to testing out when we actually get behind the wheel. So make sure you stay subscribed to this channel because we will be getting behind the wheel as soon as possible and putting it to the test.
Now let's talk pricing and availability for this IONIQ 9. Now I'm sure you're very curious as these figures, and unfortunately Hyundai has not quite released all the pricing information on this model. That will come closer to when this vehicle goes on sale, but of course that means that we can estimate what this vehicle will cost. So it is of course a sister to the Kia EV9, so we do expect a pretty similar price point as that. That starts at around $55,000 and goes up to around $73,000. I would expect that you'd have a very similar price point with this model, starting in the mid-50s and topping out in the mid-$70,000 price point. Now it's worth noting that this vehicle will be produced in the U.S. It's actually going to be made at Hyundai's new Meta plant in Georgia, which should mean that you'll qualify for the federal tax rebate. So keep that in mind as well. Now, as far as availability is concerned, Hyundai says this will be available in spring of 2025, so you're not going to have to wait too much longer to get one of these IONIQ 9s. And if you're looking to buy a Hyundai IONIQ 9 or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this first look review of the all-new Hyundai IONIQ 9. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We do a lot of cool car reviews that I promise you won't want to miss out on, and you want to join in and be a part of our family. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.